much stronger in terms of political influence, because in terms of the voters, we already have that. But then when it comes to those that can influence the political space and take certain decisions that would favor the outcomes, I think this time around we'll do better.
Okay, so you mentioned the progressive wing of the Labour Party. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Don't you have concerns, talking about coalition, and some notable names have been mentioned: Rotimi Amaechi, Rufai, Atiku Abubakar. Don't you have concerns that this coalition may just hit the rock? What's your say on that?
Okay, the respectable thing about the conversation so far was that, and this is what has been giving a lot of people concerns, that a candidate was not resolved or picked before the coalition was entered into. I believe all the major players had to take a decision to put the interest of the nation first and subject themselves to the processes that will lead to the selection of the candidate for the coalition. And I think that's the respectable thing to do, because no one allowed personal interest to trump the need to rescue Nigeria from this abyss that we find ourselves right now. And this political process is going to be quite open, and none of them will say they are alien to any of these processes. So everybody or every group needs to now push themselves to ensure that at least they feature significantly in these discussions, in these processes, be it primary elections, whatever it is that's going to be, that will lead to the selection of candidates. And I believe because they are bound by the interest to rescue Nigeria, everybody will be subject to accepting whatever outcomes that leads to the selection of the candidate and eventually the vice that will carry the ticket of the coalition party, which is the ADC at the moment.
But do you think, once again, these names that have been associated with the coalition have got the capacity, to carry Nigeria to the promised land, like you have narrated in your last contribution or your last take? And I'm asking because in 2023, Obedient movement, you were very, very, particular about Peter Obi because you felt like, he was the prophet of the time. Do you think these names can also fit in that shoe, the prophet of the time, so to say?
We are still very much confident that Peter Obi will get the ticket.
But what if he doesn't?
Because,
what if he doesn't?
He, as our leader, has subjected himself to the coalition process. And we don't have any option than to follow suit, right? Being that he will not be in any construct that is anti-Nigeria or anti the progress of Nigeria. But we know that amongst everyone that is in this discourse, he is a shining star because we are the beautiful bride of the entire movement. And that being said, it doesn't mean in any way that we are disrespecting or discountenancing any other group or any other figure, because everyone is equally important in this pursuit. Like Pio would say sometimes, you don't need only saints to change the country, right? So there are persons that are in this coalition that have been a significant part of the failures of the past. So whatever it is that they contributed to make that failure happen, they know, and they will be in this coalition to ensure that some of those pitfalls are not entered into. So that's the idea behind having all these persons in place. But for the candidacy of PO, we are very, very much confident that it will still be him.
Okay. So let's assume that it isn't, and let's go to the statements that Peter Obi has or have made in the last few days. One, I would not deputize anybody. I would be on the ballot come 2027. I'm going to run. I've not left the Labour Party just yet, but I'm part of the coalition. When you look at these statements, would you want him to stay with the ADC or the Labour Party based on capacity as a follower, as a genuine, strong, robust follower? Do you think he should stick with the Labour Party? Does the Labour Party have got the capacity to, be that vehicle to the Aso Villa? And, do you think ADC has got the capacity? Which one? And secondly, I've got another question. Is 4 years enough to turn Nigeria around? Because you say, no, you know what, I want to go for just 4 years. Do you agree with him on that one?
Okay, first of all, I would address the issue of the him not deputizing anyone. Truthfully, that discussion has not been made or openly advanced towards him, because if it had, he would have also been very open about it. And that is really not an option right now, because I believe it will not be greeted with so much enthusiasm from the followers. So I think that is why I'm open to that, but that conversation has not been entered into. Then about the platform for running for the 2027 election, it has been generally accepted that the ADC will be the platform for the 2027 election for so many reasons. While the Amaechi also hinted that the registration process for the ADA is still ongoing, right? And I believe it is good to have options, reliable options. But the platform of the Labour Party as at today, I wouldn't say is a reliable option, because the demons chasing the Labour Party are too many, too numerous, and we were not there when some of these problems started, right? Some of these problems are dated back to the very time of registration of the party. Some just a few years after registration, when the former party chairman died. A lot of these things keep coming up. When you resolve one, it will look as though everybody is okay, everyone is happy. Before you know, someone else will come. Oh, I was the deputy national chairman South. Therefore, I should be the party chairman. Stories here and there. So I don't think the Labour Party will be a viable platform for Peter Obi to contest the 2027 election. Then, secondly, the issue of the issue of the four-year tenure. He has said it on several fora. You don't need a day more than 4 years if you are serious to actually show Nigerians that this country can be transformed.
Mr.
Right?
Wellington, I know what he has said, but I'm asking you, for you, do you think, looking, you're a young person in Nigeria.
I'm also saying this myself, right?
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Like, you don't need a day more than 4 years. You don't actually even need 4 years to set the compass right for the direction what this country lacks is leadership and the political will to bring about a change, right? Normally, when Canada, let's say you are sick, right? You go for a test for diagnosis. Let's say it's malaria. It's malaria. You know what you're to take is a malaria pill, and you'll be fine, right? That is what our leaders always fail to do. We are a developing nation. There are things that we should put on the front burner of our economy, and we will start seeing growth in little or no time, because we should prioritize sustainable development goals to see that if in the next few years we will start building on the gains of these efforts, of some kind of expansionary fiscal policies should be entered into. Bold projects, not borrowing money and then monies will disappear into thin air. You don't even know what these monies are used for. Expansionary fiscal policies will lead to massive employment generation. Imagine where you actually borrow monies for proper infrastructural development across the length and breadth of this nation. Provide security, provide roads, ensure our education is there's quality education, and then watch this nation transform in little or no time.
Okay, I do have a commercial, and you've said a lot in terms of transforming Nigeria, and it looks beautiful from the way you said it. But sometimes when it comes to practicalizing these things, there are certain difficulties and challenges that one may face. Being at the end of it. But I've got a commercial in a bit. But I want you to tinker on this question, and that is, you talked about demons at play in the Labour Party, which is possibly the reason why you're more focused on the Obedient movement. Don't you think it's the same for the ADC, given now some people have gone to court to say, hey, I was here before you came? But let's go for a quick commercial. When we come back, we continue.
Stay with us. Nigeria Info.
I'm sorry about that, but yeah, we still have to continue with our conversation this morning, and we're looking at the coalition, the ADC coalition. I mean, how it will play out for a lot of the political parties, opposition political parties in Rivers State. Would they be, keen into the coalition? And today, I'm focused on the Obidients, who made a political statement in 2023 elections, and I'm wondering what their next move would be. And joining me to have the conversation is Gogo Wellington, who is now the secretary of the Obedient movement. It's good to have you on the show, Mr. Wellington. Sorry for the long wait. Good to have you.
Thank you, Paladin.
All right. So before the break, I asked the question, because you mentioned that the reason why you think, in your opinion, that the Labour Party does not have that structure, for the dreams or to carry the dreams of the Obedient movement is because there are demons at play in the party, in your words. And I'm asking the question, don't you think the demons will also be at play in the ADC, given the manner and the style with which the coalition coalesced into the party? And why am I asking? Because we've seen court cases already, or should I say a court case where people are asking the court to nullify the Senator Mark and Eric Bashola led ESCO of the party. What's your take on that?
Okay, to the members of the public, this coalition might have been something that maybe just came out of the blues, right? Maybe they feel it was just a simple talk that just led to members of the coalition just taking over the ADC and all of that. But this is a result of over a year, 1 year of discussions and negotiations and permutations and all of that. It's been going on for over a year now. Because I remember the first time we got wind of the ADC issue was sometime early last year. And we were just hoping the talks would be successful. And at the end of the day, it happens that it's successful. And if we're able to consider these persons making these threats in the ADC, they are not persons of concern because they are neither members of the National Working Committee, nor the National Executive Council, nor the Board of Trustees, nor actual state chairman. Dumebi Atiku was just a presidential candidate of the ADC. He holds no executive position within the ADC. And when things like this happen, definitely there would be persons within the ranks of the party that would feel disgruntled or not carried along or all those kind of things. But these are persons that hitherto felt maybe not control over the party, but in the real sense of things, reality has set in and maybe such a person just wants to vent. But the leadership of the ADC, via the Board of Trustees, the NEC, I've come up to say maybe he's not someone that anybody should worry about, and I believe voters have been made towards him, and if his intent is actually genuine, in a few weeks or a month or so, you would see him support the coalition fully, because there's really nothing to fight about.
Okay. Politically speaking, coming from a political strategic point, do you think any of these members of the coalition has the capacity to stop President Tinubu's second-term bid? And given all the factors that characterize electioneering in Nigeria, you want to talk about all the factors, the good, the bad. Do you see the possibility? Do you think this coalition has got the capacity to stop the president from actualizing his second-term dream?
For 2027, I have made this very clear, I think, on several forums. It is not a bunch of big wigs coming together to unseat Tinubu that will remove Tinubu from office. It is Nigerians, through their votes, that will ensure that Tinubu leaves office, because 2027 is going to be Nigeria versus the APC. It is not a matter of any political party right now, because Nigerians have had enough, right? So it's now a case of Nigerians saying, we will go out there, we will vote. Now, the essence of this entire structure, building of this coalition and everything, is to ensure that our votes count, right? We have made it very clear that if the APC attempts to alter, manipulate, rig these elections, just like what they did in 2023,
And that's an allegation.
it is not going to be funny, because nobody is going to be a sitting duck watching them perpetrate all the very heinous acts they perpetrated in 2023. They've done it in 2023, they got away with it, but this time around, nobody is going to manipulate or mess with the votes of Nigerians. Our votes will count. Nobody's saying anybody should do us any favor. Just count our votes and let the best man win.
But you've talked about this from the Nigerian perspective, like for Nigerians. But there is a lot of lack of trust in the system. A lot of people are asking, what is the ideology of the ADC? Even some of the politicians have come out and said, no, these guys are they're just seeking after power. They are desperate for power. So can you tell me, because you speak very highly of, the coalition, what is the ideology of the coalition? Because like you said about the Labour Party, demons at play, it seemingly looks like political party structures in Nigeria are more about demons at play or, personal interest, really less about ideologies. So what is the ideology of the coalition, in your opinion?
Like I said when we started this interview, all the members of this coalition decided to decided to suspend personal interests, keep their personal interests aside, and put Nigeria first, right? Nigeria first, in the sense that we have seen that this country is going into, or is getting to, an irredeemable point, and if desperate measures are not taken, we will continue in this decline until we will not have a Nigeria anymore. By the time this coalition discussion is done and the manifesto and the white paper and everything on this coalition is made public, I believe Nigerians will be impressed with the ideological base of the coalition, because this is not just talk anymore. Before a group of well-established politicians will decide to say, keep my personal interests aside, let's rescue Nigeria. Okay, rescue Nigeria first, then we can start talking about who is going or who is not going. That goes to show that it's not business as usual. But what you have before is, this one will say, no, if you don't agree, I will not come. The other person will say, no, if I'm not the one taking the ticket, don't worry. Everybody will just be playing boss in his or her corner. But this is the first time we're seeing a coalition as this, where everybody will agree that Nigeria is in a state that needs some kind of emergency work. So they've all committed to it. Let's say the principal ideology of this movement is Nigeria first, the people first. So that is what we're working by at this moment.
All right, Nigeria first, you say. But let's trickle the conversation down to Rivers State. From my observation, in the past, 20 months, during this political tug of war, like I want to call it now, we saw or observed, or I observed, that the opposition parties in the state were somewhat in support of the suspended governor. Now, the suspended governor has aligned himself with the FCT minister, the camp he once was in a tug of war with. I wonder what the position of the opposition would be. Is there still that sympathy towards the governor? Is there still, of course, there are talks that he may not be given the opportunity to run for a second term. Do you think the coalition would want to have people like him? Who are the kind of people the coalition would love to have in that group in Rivers State? Can you give an insight?
Okay, primarily what has played out in Rivers State so far is very unfortunate, because I believe the governor of Rivers State had the sympathy of the opposition because of the what would I call it, the challenge he was facing at the time, and he needed the opposition or the people of Rivers State to support him in order for him to be able to focus on governance and not on pleasing his paymaster. We said it. I even said it on this program before. I think that was shortly after the 2023 election, when you asked me a question of us about us challenging the mandate after the elections or thereabout. And I made it very clear to you the method that we were not exactly impressed with the way he got into office and some of those elections issues that, what would I say, plagued the gubernatorial election and the rigging and everything. And we all decided to set that apart and put Rivers State first because it was now an existential issue of godfatherism, trying to suppress the current leadership of Rivers State. And the opposition in Rivers State did all that they can, or all that we could, to see that support the governor and show that at least the people of Rivers State are with you on this one. But it's very unfortunate that when it mattered most, when he's supposed to stand his ground, he decided to cave in and go back to his, to his comfort zone. Let me put it that way, quote and unquote. But Rivers people still remain Rivers people. We still take our stand against godfatherism. That doesn't mean we will cow with him and go and start.
The people that we should be expecting to form the coalition in Rivers State. Now we know Rotimi Amaechi is part of it already.
State, we will when this conversation cascades to the state level, right? A lot of us that are involved in this will be made public, right? There are, of course, people that we could call political bigwigs also from Rivers State that are a part of this, right? Both some that are even still with the current administration, quote and unquote. So when these things are made public, it will be clearer to all, for all to see. We already know the Amaechis of the discussion and the rest, but by the time we cascade the conversation properly to the state structure, a lot of these will be made public.
All right, let's take some few calls. We are almost out of time. In the next 9 minutes, our time will be up. Let's take some few calls. The numbers are the same: 0817-923-0002, 0817-923-0003, and 0817-923-0007. These are the call numbers. Please go straight to the point so that we can entertain as many calls as possible. For WhatsApp, use this number: 0809-0306-416. Remember, this is the Morning Crossfire, and we're looking at the coalition in respect to Rivers State, and we're looking, how this will most especially affect the Labour Party and the Obidients. All right, so I'm taking my first call for this show, 92.3 Nigeria Info. Good morning to you. What's your name?
Yeah,
Where are you calling
in
from?
Morning.
Yeah, good morning. Straight to the point, please.
Yes, my name is J.A.J. and I'm calling you from Port Harcourt.
All right.
Greet your guest. Kalada, I want to ask your girls, what if Peter Obi doesn't get the coalition ticket? Will you join him to other side, or you still stay put in the coalition?
But that's what he said. He said Peter Obi most likely would respect the coalition because he has submitted himself to the coalition. I think he answered that question.
I can't tell, because when he was in PDP then, when he saw that there was no opportunity to get, he moved to the Labour Party, and the rest is history. Let's see how far we can run. Thank you.
All right, thank you, JJ. But let's take another call. 92.3 Nigeria Info. Good morning.
Hello?
Yeah, welcome. What's your name?
Hello?
I can hear you. What's your name?
Yes, my name is Emeka Alezi, calling from Erila Limili.
Emeka, welcome. Go straight to the point, please.
Yes, my brother, the young man that is in your studio, does not know what is happening in ADC. ADC is dead on arrival because they cannot survive here in River State. Even the young man that is in your studio cannot even win his ward, talk less of his unit. So ADC is a group of greedy politicians circling together to come and grab our armies through back door. It can't work. They should allow President Tinubu to finish his second tenure. About the national ADC, if it's Mark, his daughter is in APC, House of Rep in APC. How can he work? Which means he is there to safeguard his daughter's position as for second tenure. How can an ADC chairman, his own daughter is in APC, Rufai, his son is in APC.
So if his daughter is daughter, he is himself. I mean, two different entities. But thank you nonetheless. Your time is up. I've got to take another call. Let's try this one. 92.3 Nigeria Info. Good morning. Welcome on the show.
Yes, good morning to you, Mr. Kalada.
Yeah, what's your name, please?
My name is Comrade Kowate Magnus. I'm calling from Port Harcourt.
All right, Kowate Magnus, it's good to have you. Welcome.
Thank you. Very quickly, I want to say that the coalition we talk about in this country, I always say that coalition is not a bad idea is to further deepen our internal democracy on election day. But my concern is people, characters in that coalition. If you look at the characters in that, forming the coalition, the likes of Atiku, Rufai, Amaechi, and all of them, we all know their antecedents during their time in governance. Most of these people who are shouting today contributed to the suffering Nigeria is suffering today. And we continue to say that we cannot continue like that. If you must come to equity, you must come with clean hand. You say you want to liberate Nigeria, Nigerians are crying because you are not close to power. What happened during that time that we were in power? Were Nigeria not suffering? I want to say that let them allow President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu concentrate on governance because that is the key thing.
All right.
Already.
All right.
And so we must do that.
All right. Thank you very much. Allow the president to continue, he says. But this was a good morning, Kaleda. I want to ask you guys, what if Peter Obi does not get the presidential ticket in ADC? What will be their fate? My name is Lovely from Big Elele. All right. Another message here says, Peter Obi is the man. I am Wabolo Walozie texting from Mopol 19 GRA. And this one says, ask your guest to tell us why him and Peter Obi wouldn't stay and build the party to victory, but are often seen jumping from one party to another in the name of seeking for power. Isn't that a bad sign of desperation for power? Besides, where is he predicting 2027? Or why is he predicting it like Ninja Betsy says? You want to ask a question, but you did not ask a question. I don't even know who sent that message. But this one says, my name is Grace Young. I have a question for the guest. It is about the Obidient movement state structures. The national coordinator, Dr. Tanko, had called on all Obidient stakeholders on all platforms and groups in the various states to come together, hold meetings, and elect their leadership. This process happened in many states. However, in Rivers State, there was no stakeholders meeting, yet out of nowhere, a list suddenly surfaced. Certain individuals had been appointed as Rivers State Obidient movement coordinators. My question is, how can such an important leadership structure emerge without stakeholder consultation or any transparent process? What does this say about the internal democracy of the movement? So, Gogo Wellington, maybe you want to start by answering that last question, talking about the Obidient movement not having a democratic structure. What say you?
Okay, I will say that a lot of persons in the Obidient movement were not actually following up the activities of the Obidient movement after the outcome of 2023 elections. A lot of them felt disillusioned and they stayed back. The process that led to the appointment of the state leadership in Rivers State was very, very transparent and was done from the national and had a lot of stakeholder engagement. We have a 30-man state ESCO. 30.
Okay. All right.
So that's not something that you just sit in your house and write. It involved support groups, candidates, all sorts of persons that have been actively involved in the Obidient movement. So sorry to anyone that feels left out.
Yeah.
But of course, the platform is still there for you to come back on board and for us to continue what we started.
Mr. Wellington, final words from you. Or rather, should I say, final question for you. What would be your reaction or your answer to those who are saying that ADC does not have the capacity to thrive in Rivers State and basically in Nigeria at large? They're saying Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, will have a landslide. What is your reaction to that?
I want to quickly hint at something. The question is this, right? These are some of the structures of corruption that the Obidient movement is here to dismantle. How do you mean deliver your word, right? When you say deliver, how many votes do you have as an individual? You have just one vote. Yours is to cast your vote, allow others cast their votes, count those votes, enter them into results, and escalate to the next point where those results will be collated. A situation where one person feels that he or she has the responsibility to deliver a word or deliver a polling unit, those things are just mirages, and that is what has bedeviled our political system with so-called corrupt political stakeholders that want to use the votes of Nigerians for transactions. Let's assume that votes are counted, like deliberately counted and entered as they are counted. Obiakpo is the most metropolitan local government in Rivers State, right? And our former governor, Nyesom Wike, is from Obiakpo. can Nyesom Wike say that he can deliver his word in Rome Precom?
Okay.
That is a mirage, because everybody in Rome Precom has the right to vote the party that they want to vote. And if those votes are entered, there's no way that even Nyesom Wike can even deliver his polling unit if votes are counted.
Wellington, I've got to go.
Jettisoning the idea of people delivering votes and delivering polling. Allow Nigerians to vote, and those votes should be counted.
All right, I've got to go. I've got to go.
Media, the Solar World Electric Technology Limited, is giving